So it goes without saying that having enough money to feed your kids, put a roof over everyone's head can be a very important thing. I can personally understand this. I've been on both sides of having money and not having money. I've been on welfare when I had my first child to where I am now, having a pretty decent paying job. I believe that having money is very important, but sometimes we tend to overlook the mental health and the overall health of the economy in pursuit of um, having enough money to pay things. First, I will describe to you what a living wage is. What are some of the good points of having a living wage, and some of the negatives that I perceive from having a federal living wage. Now, a living wage, as described in the Ethical Trading Initiative, is having enough money to provide all of your basic needs and have some discretionary money left over. Um, the current living wage depends on what state you're at. It also depends on your marital status, how many kids you have. Um, like, for example, in California, the living wage is going to be a lot higher than it would be in a state like Ohio, because everything is more expensive in California. So it takes a lot more money to pay for um, your home and things of that nature. Now, my living wage is about $37.67 here in California. Um, I don't quite make that much. I'm on my way there. I think I will eventually make that much at the end of my contract or when I max out, which is still about 8 years away, I believe. Um, but I still live pretty comfortably. Granted, I do get a lot of help from family. So there is that. A living wage is different from a minimum wage. In an article by Amadeo, it states that a living wage is something that you get that will pay all of your basic needs, all of your basic bills, and to have a little bit of money left over. A minimum wage is tended just to keep you right above the poverty line, just to keep you out of poverty. That's what the minimum wage um, is for. Minimum wages all differ, obviously, in different states, depending on where you live and the cost of everything in that state. Um, I have told you about federal living wage, what it is. Now I will explain to you some of the good things that it is reported to bring about. Now, one of the good things that it could bring about is that, according to Gaia, if you pay an employee enough money so that they can pay all their bills and have everything settled at home, and they are happier, then they tend to work better when they were at work. They don't have any kind of stress going on, so they have a clear mind to just do what they need to do at work and do it better than normal. As said in the Living Wage Myths and Facts, it's nearly impossible to get to afford higher education and to obtain a job that would pay more. So, giving people or having a federal living wage could be a really good thing for people. Now that I have given you a couple good things that are reported a federal living wage can bring, I am going to tell you a few negative things that I perceive from having a federal minimum wage. One of the things is that I know a lot of people argue that people who are giving, when you give people more money, they tend to spend it on the small businesses, and that helps the small businesses out. But in actuality, they can actually suffer financially, the small businesses, because they have to give their workers higher wages. As said in a Phelan article, businesses will have to compensate for giving their workers higher wages by possibly lowering the amount of workers that they have, and that could lead to higher unemployment rates, which puts more stress on the economy. Also, workers could get their hours reduced. Let's say if the workers were being paid a certain amount and then they worked a lot of overtime, so now they work now they're going to have to be paid more. So the company would probably could lower the amount of hours that they work. So they would actually just um, get the same amount of pay, if not a lower amount of pay. Um, a living wage, I believe, could be bad for someone's self esteem. Um, getting a higher salary from the company would usually give, if you are not working or putting in the work for that money, it could be bad for your self esteem. I experience this sometimes at my job. I kind of think, why am I getting paid so much money to do this type of work? The work that I do is not that complicated. And sometimes I think about the company and the stress that it puts on the company, the amount of workers that my company has, and that's the amount that they pay um, workers. They pay probably, I would say, 40% of the company more than what I make. And I'm just thinking about what I make. And if they gave everybody what I make just for doing this amount of work, the kind of stress it would put on the company. Plus, I do see a lot of productivity going down. I see a lot of people that are not maximizing their productivity. So those are some things that I look at. What kind of better position would the company be in if they paid us a little bit more? Obviously, that's a negative thing to me, but I tend to think of um, companies and the economy as a whole rather than just what would benefit me. Um, when I was collecting welfare and getting financial aid, also, it was not impossible for me to obtain a higher education. Now, I like the job that I do now, so I don't want to do anything else, but I am going to college, and I used to get a lot of help for college on the salary that I made, which wasn't that low, but I still got quite a bit of help, and I didn't have to put that much money into the college. So I believe that there are a lot of opportunities out there and grants that people can get if they really wanted to pursue higher education. So, in conclusion, I really think that we should continue to raise the minimum wage at a healthy rate. Obviously, adjusting for inflation, prices go up annually all the time. So, we should definitely think about and continuing to raise the minimum wage. And, um, and it's better for a person's health and well-being mentally, spiritually, if they work hard and they know that everything they are doing in the company they're getting paid exactly what they need to be paid. And yes, well, thank you for listening.